finally get to talk again. I heard that you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. What is it that's worrying you? Is it anything specific, or is it just some general overwhelm that you're feeling? Okay. I understand. I mean, I get it. I definitely get it. You have so much going on in your life right now. It's not only the work you have to do, but also the private life that you have to go through, right? I totally get it. It's basically like Sisyphus, who always carries up this heavy stone to the mountain, and just when he's done, the stone rolls back down and he has to start all over again. That's basically our lives, right? You know what the worst thing is though? When there's actually some health scares adding up to your private problems and to your work-related problems or to your education-related problems. It seems like things is adding up. And it's almost like this is a tragic thing about life, right? That it's pretty hard to feel something really amazing, like if you go to see an amazing movie or if you eat some amazing food that feels kind of nice for like a minute. I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, it's possible to achieve like a 5 or a 6 or a 7 in terms of bliss. But how easy is it to feel like a -20 or a -30 when things go really wrong? I mean, it's so easy to go down multiple levels of hell, basically. That's one of the hardest things in life, I believe, because there's not only one level of hell, there's like 20 or 30 or 40 levels of hell. But there's maybe only 7 levels of heaven. That's what I feel like. At least that's what our brain is basically making us to think. Because with our overthinking and our anxiousness and our trying to control and plan everything, we can exponentially amplify the hell we're into. That's so easy for us, right? I mean, it happens to me as well. Just when you have to go to the doctor, like to the dentist. I had to go to the dentist a few days ago. And like a few days before, I was scared. I thought, shit, the dentist is gonna find some cavities and it's gonna be super expensive for me. And then instead of only suffering, let's say for 10 minutes, I suffered for many hours or many days even, just because of this one event. This is how powerful our thoughts are. And unfortunately, we're being trained to use our thoughts to just be scared mostly. To play scenarios in our head, how things are going wrong, and our whole life is spiraling down more and more and going in the gutter. At least that's what my brain is wired to do, it seems. I love this pillow so much. I can only sleep on these types of pillows because they have these hard knots inside, and I don't know, if I sleep on a normal pillow, my neck gets super stiff and painful. But That's another topic. So yeah. And I think some people have a propensity for overthinking and spiraling down into negative thinking loops. And I had to accept that I'm one of these people as well. And yeah, I don't want to get too scientific here, but the newest research coming out basically proves that your genetic predisposition is actually much more relevant than we thought initially. Because back in the day we would say, okay, I mean, your genes are relevant, but at the end it's your upbringing and how you are being socialized and your parents and your environment that make all the difference. But now we kind of know that your genes make up at least 50% or even more of how you behave and how you experience this life. And what's interesting is that this actually gets stronger with age, which means if you're 15, I guess if you try to be super extroverted all the time, you can still manage it. You will be able to play this role. But if you're 25 or 35, your kind of true self will show itself more and more. And you will notice how hard it is to play the extroverted role almost. And you will notice how you become tired after a while. And you notice how you need to recharge your batteries after a certain while. And I had to admit this to myself as well. It's hard and it's exhausting to play a role all the time. Which doesn't mean you should just give up and just give in to your flaws and just do nothing at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's actually liberating to kind of accept the cards you've been dealt. I have a friend who actually has pretty anxious parents, and his siblings are also pretty anxious. But he always kind of overplayed it, and we got to know him as a pretty outgoing guy who was kind of charming, kind of funny, kind of goofy though sometimes, but still in general kind of a cool dude. But now that he's turning like 28, suddenly in his job he starts to get super stressed out and he can't sleep anymore, and he has insomnia, and he's like, I can't believe it. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea why I can't sleep. And I told him, you're pretty stressed. And he's like, no, I'm not stressed. I was never stressed. And even though he doesn't want to admit it to himself, he is super stressed and he is an anxious person. And he's not that super confident guy that he hopes to be. And this doesn't mean he just has to give in and like live as a hermit, but if he would accept his predicament, it would be much easier for him. And he would actually have an easier time to accept it and look for ways to cope with his emotional stress and all this overwhelm that he experiences with his job. And maybe he needs to change his career. Maybe that's really what he needs to do. Yeah. You know, I think I'm into... There's not really much what I can say if you're feeling super overwhelmed, because it's something that all of us have to go through, I believe. And on the one hand, I think maybe we just need to desensitize ourselves to overwhelm in a way. Which is hard if you're a sensible person, if you're, taking things very seriously by nature, if your genetics give you a predisposition that makes you a ruminator, somebody who overthinks things. But it's helpful to look for challenges and to get out of your comfort zone. That's actually making you much stronger, even though it doesn't seem like it. But on the other hand, there's also a point where it's too much, and this is when people have a burnout and they maybe need a year or even more time to recover. This is not something you should try to do, and this is definitely taking it too far. It's already getting dark. It's the winter time. It's like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., but it's already getting dark, which is nice in a way, I think. And then, there's some things that help me a lot, which is journaling every morning and just writing down my feelings, especially how it feels inside of me. And I try to really not label what I'm feeling, but I try to just describe it, just like an observer. And then I try to say something like, I feel some dense emotion inside of me. And then I might also say something like, something inside of me is angry and is looking for something to be angry about. And something inside of me is looking for something to be scared about. And something inside of me is looking for problems with myself, like it's looking for aspects of me where I'm not good enough and where my body is not good enough and I should be better career-wise and that I should have reached so-and-so milestone already and I should be more social, or I should do this and that. In general, it's stuff that starts with should. And when I identify one of those shoulds, I write it down first of all, and then I try to find a more rational, objective opinion. Or if I believe I'm never gonna do anything significant in my life, then I'm gonna write down something like, I already did some remarkable things in my life, and also my life isn't so much about achieving this and that or being this super amazing celebrity star who has this super remarkable life. This is something I've been thinking quite a lot about anyways recently. Why do I have to have such a remarkable life? Why is it not good if I just have a normal life? Sure, I don't really believe that we have a second life, but if I just get through this life and make experiences, which all of us do, isn't that a good life already? If I just try my best regarding my health, my relationships, and my craft and my work, isn't that good enough? We all, I think, grow up, and some less and some more, with some vision of grandeur, of some illusionary, amazing life that we might be living, like being a star, playing in front of people, and being this rock star, or being an author who creates these amazing stories, or being just this amazingly beautiful person, or just exceeding others because we want to feel like we matter in a way, and our life has any significance in this huge universe. I mean, we don't even understand what this universe is like. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand how the universe is expanding, and there's apparently it's infinite, so how can it expand? And what's outside of the universe? And how can it be that there's no other people living in this universe? And how can there be different galaxies? And how is it possible that the sun is going to explode? And how is it possible that we just turn out like we did? And I mean, this is so crazy that our mind is not even able to really comprehend any of it. So what I want to say is, it's so easy to feel insignificant and like, what are we even here for? It's so easy. And then we see these movies about these heroes and about people winning over a girl or a boy by doing something special, especially for men. They don't just get somebody who loves them, they have to earn it. They have to earn it by slaying the dragon, by overcoming this huge obstacle, by discovering how they have some magic powers like Harry Potter. I mean, Harry Potter, he's not only a wizard, he's basically the biggest hero of all times who, for some reason, killed the evil overlord. And this is kind of the fantasy we get ingrained into us. And we believe one day we will also become this hero who does this crazy stuff. And maybe you don't have this, but I mean, be honest. Don't you have this in the back of your mind as well? And so now you turn 20 and you turn 25 and then you turn 30 and then you turn 35 and then you turn 40, and probably you're still not special. You still haven't become a hero. You still haven't produced any crazy, significant art that everybody admires. You still haven't become a rock star that fills up stadiums. You still haven't become that author that everybody loves and admires. You probably didn't even become a successful employee who makes a lot of money. And you're also not this beautiful being that everybody just admires. Maybe your relationships are difficult. Maybe your health starts to deteriorate, and then you start thinking like, what am I doing with my life? And why is there such a strong mismatch between my self-imposed expectations and my actual life? But yeah, maybe that's not even what you're struggling with, but it's something to think about, I believe. You know, I mean, I don't even want to talk about you eating well and you doing sports, but I mean, for me it's still valuable, but it's not really addressing the root cause of our anxiety and our overwhelm, which I believe to be deeper. I believe it is an underlying thing that we feel like this life is not natural that we're living. We're not supposed to sit in an office all day or deal with problems that aren't even mattering so much in this life, like our company making more sales, or dealing with this admin stuff, or somebody who wants to make more money. Is that really what we're here for on this world? I think we instinctively know that there's a mismatch, that having valuable and real relationships, connecting with beings, having a tribe, a real community, being in nature a lot, taking time to refocusing on yourselves, taking time, idle time, like just sitting and resting and not planning, not having to create something. I think we instinctively know that this would be a much more balanced life. That would be much better for our health and for our happiness and our mental health. Because we load so much junk data into our brains every day. And we have to because of our jobs generally, or our education. And maybe our brains aren't even made for this complexity. And we don't even know what makes us happy. I mean, I still kind of don't know what makes me happy. I make lists of what makes me happy so often. But it seems like I just forget it, and then I do the things on my list, and still it's like I'm losing this inspiration and this certainty that certain things can make me happy. And then it kind of dawns on me that maybe anything in the external world is kind of an illusion, and none of it will really make me happy. Maybe it's all a game, which doesn't mean it still stresses me out. I mean, just going to the dentist apparently stresses me out, because I always think how this is gonna be so bad and I'm gonna have all these problems, and then eventually turns out it's not even true, which shows me how dumb I am and how illogical I am, and how many cognitive biases I am prone to. I'm such a joke, in a way. And I mean, for me, dealing with overwhelm is, I think, to sum it up, knowing myself, first of all. So knowing I'm never gonna be a super extroverted person. I'm always gonna be worrying a lot. I'm always gonna be anxious. I'm always gonna be stressed out by deadlines. To a certain extent, I can desensitize myself to it, but it's always gonna be a bit harder for somebody who doesn't have that genetic program in him. And second of all, I think it's about understanding this world, kind of gaining wisdom. Gaining wisdom that I'm not so special. And many people also face the same struggles as me. I mean, really. Then my ego will say, I'm not even special in my problems and in my anxiety. I am special, but still, there's so many other people who struggle as well. And I'm really not that individual, and I'm part of a bigger human experience, and that's fine. And everybody struggles, in a way. Even the super perfect, successful people struggle. And if you don't believe me, then you should maybe just talk to them, or just listen what they're saying. I mean, everybody struggles. That's really how life is kind of fair. Because no matter how perfect and successful somebody is, they still struggle. They still have anxiety. And then I think it's also important to notice that there will always be problems. I think there's a Stoic saying from some Marcus Aurelius or somebody like that who says, behind mountains, more mountains, something like that, which to me means that we always have this immediate problem that we see. We think, I just have to solve this problem. I just have to deliver this deadline at work. I just have to pass this exam. I just have to go to this doctor and then I will be fine. But that's an illusion. There's always going to be new problems. There's always going to be new health scares. And the health problems are just going to get more and not less. And if you have kids, you're going to get a big pile of new problems to your own problems. And this is why our life is just one mountain after the other. And ideally, we just get comfortable with it as best as we can and just prepare for the mountains and wear our hiking shoes and pack some good food and pack enough water and ideally take on some good people with us that we like and that can support us and we can support them. And so we just manage this. And so we become a competent adult and we just take on the struggles that we have to take on, because if we do nothing, this will just lead to entropy and to us descending into hell, basically. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out, because let's say I never go to the dentist, then I will get cavities at some point and then I will have pain, but I will be too scared to go to the doctor, and then eventually my teeth are gonna fall out or something and I will have more and more pain. And this is what happens when you don't tend to your problems. Which doesn't mean you have to just accept everything that is given to you in your life and that you just have to follow the trodden path of society. I'm very skeptical about the corporate career path that is given to us as an ideal. I'm very skeptical about the normal relationship path, that everybody is going to be happy by living with a partner and having kids. I don't think that's the reality. I'm very skeptical about most things people do. Buying houses, buying big houses, buying furniture, buying all these things. I'm very skeptical about all of this. But still, it's good to take on some responsibility and maybe, as Jordan Peterson likes to say, start by cleaning your room and start by paying your bills, and then you can take on more and more responsibility as much as you can, which doesn't mean you should just take on stray dogs and adopt five children. That's probably too much. I wouldn't be comfortable doing this, and it's good to take it slow, and I think everybody should take more breaks, not only every day but every year. I want to have 2 or 3 or 4 months to be in nature and to travel and to think and to read. That's something I kind of chose for myself, and I hope to be able to accomplish this eventually. So yeah, I hope this kind of helped. I think you're an amazing person, and I think you're already doing so well. I mean, just look at what you're accomplished. You're such a smart person, and you make all these plans for your future, which is great. And you are ambitious and you want to do something special, which also makes you vulnerable to perfectionism and to anxiety and to this anxious feeling that you aren't meeting your own expectations. But that's fine. At least you're trying. I think it's good to know that we're all in this together. And we're all struggling. And maybe our struggles aren't that different. And this is why I'm happy that you're my friend. And I'm sure you're gonna do fine.